Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Makeup for 2015 Halloween. This is my 6th look for the year, so I will leave the pictures of all my previous looks for this year up on the screen in case you're interested in clicking through to any of those, and my full Halloween playlist will be linked to below as well for anyone watching on mobile. I wanted to do a really classic take on the vampire makeup. I don't personally love the very glamorous ones. I mean, there's a place for them. I love the idea of the real old Hollywood, like scary vampire creature, the one that lives in the depths of some deep dark cave and is like just really scary and monsterish looking, rather than the newer kind of prettier vampires we're used to seeing. So that's what I wanted to go for today. For my teeth, I didn't have any prosthetics to use, so I just went in with this black tooth enamel, and then I used a small paintbrush to paint it on to give myself pointy teeth. So that's a really good alternative if you can't get your hands on vampire teeth, and you just brush your teeth down to get it off. There's no bother. So yeah, if you want to see how this is done, just keep watching. And I am doing a new Halloween video every Friday on the run to Halloween, so check back for that. And if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. But in the meantime, just keep watching to see how this is done. Thanks guys. So the first step in this process was to prep the hair. So for this, I very badly straightened my hair. I should have straightened it more, and also clipped in just either side of my widow's peak to make that like McDonnell M shape that the old vampires have a little bit more defined. I just said my own name there. I meant McDonald, as in the rotten, never mind. Anyhow, now I am applying a foundation about a shade or so lighter than my own skin tone, just to pale me down to not quite white, but as pale as possible. And I applied this all over my face, avoiding my eye area and the orbital bone area. Or rather, any area above the orbital bone, if you know what I mean. So anywhere where you get normally dark circles. Next, I decided to pale out my eyebrows by just drawing in a white pencil. This is the Jumbo pencil by NYX in Milk, and I brushed that through with a spoolie. I think if I was to do this look again though, I would completely block out my eyebrows as if I have none. I think that would look a little bit more effective, but this was grand for what it was. Either would work. And then using that same white pencil or white crayon, I applied that to certain points of my face, so my forehead, the tops of my cheekbones, down the center of my nose, and also onto my chin. And I just blended that out because I wanted to add a little bit of a highlight or a little bit more definition to the face. And when you are that pale, that's pretty much the only thing that will add any kind of contrast. So yeah, I just added those where I wanted a little bit more contrast. Okay, so the next step in the plan then is to set everything in place. So I'm using my trusty Ben 9 Neutral Set, which is a colourless face powder, and I plopped this all over the face, anywhere where I had cream makeup underneath. Then next, I started to add a little bit of contour because those vampires they're kind of sharp looking. So I started to apply my contour, which was my NYX Taupe Blush, with a fluffy contour brush, but it wasn't giving me enough definition. So I went in with a, a more defined contour brush. You know what I mean. And this was giving me much more definition. It was allowing it to come out stronger. Geez, I'm not saying this right. It was giving me a stronger contour. I also started to contour underneath my neck and my jowls, because again, them vampires don't have any flabby necks or jowls. And I also contoured down my nose to make it straighter and sharper, and yeah. And that is the Zoeva Petite crease brush that I'm using there, which I absolutely love. Right, so now it's time for a little bit of colour, and I'm using my Inglot palette. This is the colour 392. It's kind of like a lavender purple, and I started to apply this around the contour or socket of my eye area, just to make it look a little bit bruised and sunken. I just like these colours when you're kind of doing these kind of vampire looks. So you're using your pinks and your reds and your purple. Then the next colour is 377 by Inglot, which is slightly more blue-based purple, and I just use this to deepen out the eye area. I am really concentrating that there on that inner corner where I would have the most discoloration anyhow. Next, I went into a red colour, and This is number 382, and I applied this to my lids and underneath my lower lash line as well. I haven't applied any eyelid primer, by the way, because I want there to be a translucency to the lids and I want to be able to see my veins a little bit later on. I went back into that number 392 and applied some to my contour just to deepen that out a little bit. Next, I went into a deeper purple, and this is number 325. So this is for the veins, and I did dampen my brush. This is just a really fine art brush, and I started to draw those veins all around the eye area. So I kind of was copying the veins that I could see and adding some extra, and I mean everywhere. So I added to my top lids, very much there on the inner corner and underneath as well, and just dragged that down then a little bit past your orbital bone. And I also mixed in some blue eyeshadow. I was using number 480 then, just to change up the colour of some of the lids, or rather some of the veins, to make them a little bit more blue and realistic look, and particularly on the inner corner. I also added veins then to the contour. I thought this would make it a little bit more interesting, and again, add to the translucency of the skin. Then going in with the maroon lip liner. Be careful of these. Some of them don't always suit the eye line or eye area. I added this to my waterline. Next, I went in with those same purple eyeshadows and a slightly bigger brush, and I started to apply some veins to my lids, to my forehead and temple area. I'm doing these so lightly because it's just to make the skin look translucent rather than have really obvious veins. Then going back to me thinking that vampires need to have sharp features, for some reason I always think of vampires having cleft chin, so that's what I'm trying to hint at here. Don't want to make it too obvious, it's just to give a little bit of a hint of it again. And then I started to draw in my widow's peak. So I actually naturally have quite a strong widow's peak, but I removed the hairs because I really didn't like how it looked. It didn't let my hair sit very well at the front of my head, over my head. So yeah, I'm just drawing those hairs back in and making it obviously a little bit more sharp to make it look a little bit more vampirish. And then I am adding a slightly frosty white eyeshadow, again just to add a little bit of a highlight, or more so just to make my skin look a little bit like shiny and unhealthy. And again, you just need white when you're working on such a pale complexion to make this in any way stand out. And I'm also applying some of that white to my forehead, and don't worry about going over the veins, it'll just help with making the skin look even more translucent. I also applied some there to my nose to lip lines, I can never remember what those are called, and also to my chin. Then I'd say this part could be optional if you want, but I kind of like the idea of having quite glossy and again unhealthy looking eyes. I used kind of a beigey gloss to make it somewhat skin-like. I don't know, I just wanted to again add to the translucency of the skin, and it would just make the veins look a little bit less harsh and obvious. So yeah, I just started to pat that all around the eye. I didn't go too crazy tugging at it because I wanted to be careful not to move the veins. Then I went back in with my maroon lip liner and applied that to the center or the inner part of my lips because I wanted to make it just look like my lips were a bit sore and like I'd been sucking blood at some stage or another. And I just used a brush then to kind of buff that out, and I also started to blend a little bit of that into the corner or the outside of my mouth as well, and I started to draw in more veins there, again trying to make them not too obvious or too graphic. Actually, the longer I'm looking at this look now as I'm editing it, this would probably work fairly well as a zombie makeup, you know, like a fairly I don't know, realistic zombie makeup, like an infected one. Okay, never mind. Now I'm moving on to the teeth. So like I said, I didn't have prosthetics, so I needed to use enamel, tooth enamel. So this is basically paint for your teeth. So the reason I was rubbing my teeth there was you need to make sure your teeth are dry, then just start to paint it on. So this can be a bit of a pain to use, but it is effective. So once you have that on, let it dry and then you're good to go. So I just kind of placed my hair where I wanted it to be, and that finishes off the look. So I hope you like this, guys. If you have any questions for me, leave them below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. But in the meantime, take care and I'll see you all in my next video. And feel free to subscribe if you are new to my channel to make sure you do get my new videos into your subscription feeds. Slán, guys.